Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long Boys Blues, 1975. A using girls on the rise. Reviewing games, and sometimes friends. But Long Boys Blues, 1975.
So I so enjoyed going through that Judge Dredd annual the other day. I thought I'd do another video of its ilk, if you will. I was going through some boxes in the spare room and I came across my copy of the very first 2000 AD annual from 1978. So therefore 1978 means this would be released in the build up to Christmas in 1977. I completely forgot I had this. I bought this at the tail end of the 90s and I can't remember what I paid for it, but it certainly wasn't much, and it was in a second-hand bookstore. I don't know what it goes for now. I saw it at a charity shop the other day and it was about £17. Whether that's accurate for, you know, this book or not, don't know. I mean, take anything in a charity shop with a grain of salt, because they eBay their prices and they simply can't, you know, tell the difference between what they have and what's being sold on eBay. It's like when you see platinum games on the PlayStation and you try explaining to them, but that's the platinum version and there's a massive crack in the front and it doesn't have the instructions. Why are you charging that for it? So yeah, don't base prices on anything like that in charity shops. So I bought this because while the earliest progs, because I was massively into 2000 AD, the earliest progs I had are sort of early 80s to mid 80s-ish. I think I might have some starting in 1983, which isn't bad because the comic was 7 years old at that point. Even when I bought this, and even back then when I read 2000 AD, you know, because like I said, I started in the late-ish, mid to late-ish 80s and then stopped around about the year 2000. Yeah, even back then early progs were just really expensive, and I mean you're not getting your hands on them now, which is a shame because I would love to have some very early progs. But I just wanted to have a piece of really early 2000 AD history in my collection. So I bought this of Fleetway annual. Obviously they're not Fleetway anymore. This is interesting. It's got the original logo. It's got Dan Dare on it. I don't know what the deal is with this guy going on here. If you flip it, this is duplicated on the back. But yeah, so Dan Dare was one of their main strips when 2000 AD kicked off, and he was sort of a meaner, grittier version than the kind of futuristic 1950s space, you know, RAF pilot, chiseled chin hero that was your granddad's Dan Dare from the, you know, his original run in Eagle Comics. He was, you know, trying to be representative to modern kids because of, you know, then current sci-fi. What's interesting is because I had a quick look inside this, and it's a lot less sci-fi and more actual science fact than I thought it was going to be, which is interesting because I don't know when 2000 AD kicked in this country with the first prog was. I simply can't remember. I should know that. I should have googled it before this video, but there's a very realistic chance it may have even beaten Star Wars, because well, definitely beat Star Wars in this country, because Star Wars episode 4, which it's not, but you know what I mean for purposes of that video, this video is just called episode 4. We got that in December in this country because we always got shafted on movies, but it was a, you know, a May, June, I think it was a May released in America. So 2018 may even predate Star Wars, because the point I just want to bring that up is 2000 AD is the same age as Star Wars. Both will be 50 in 2 years time. That's absolutely insane. So let's open this up. But yeah, that's just a terrible depiction of Dan Dare. That's got nothing, it doesn't even look like the original Dan Dare. And why is he standing in a vacuum with an open face helmet? Just saying. But let's open this up. So this is really cool. This is what I mean about it being more, ooh, a little tick there. Why Why did you sign your annuals when you were a kid? I never did, but yeah, more science fact. So big picture of the Earth from the moon, and you have a table of contents. It's £1, so adjusted for inflation, that's gonna make it about I want to say what 11, 12 quid these days. We've got a list of contents: Dan Dare and the Curse of the Mighty Ass, Shuttle Blast Off, Tharg thing. Tharg is obviously the Beta Gizian editor of 2000 AD. He is still a thing. He is still a thing. So I bought a modern issue the other day. My God, it's expensive these days. And yeah, he's on the inside. Tharg's Nerve Center is still a part of 2000 AD, and they still call it the Galaxy's Greatest Comic, which is kind of cool. Step into the Unknown, Tank Trap, Hunted, Mach 1, Harlem Heroes, East Meets West, End of Voyage, What's This Space Elapsed, Stamps into Space, The Dream Machine, Judge Dredd. So Dredd made it into the first annual, which you would expect because he appeared in the second issue. Operation Hercules, The Buffalo Hunt, the Monsters, White Fury, Judge Dredd again. So 2 strips for Dredd, the Symbiote, and Death Bug, published by IPC Magazines. Yeah, there you go, IPC Magazines, 1977. This smells fantastic. And by that, to me, this smells fantastic. To a lot of other people, they probably think this smells a bit funky, musty, musky, if you will. This just smells like a library to me. So here we have our first strip. I've had a very quick look through this, by the way, and what's interesting is there are no artist cards. Artist, writer, inker, script, or droids for any of the strips in this. Was that reflective of the original comics of the time? Was that just because this is an annual? Because obviously annuals are like a Christmas thing, aren't they? So I guess you could even argue that this is aimed at a younger audience than what the comic was at the time, because the comic was definitely a little bit more grittier than most comics at the time, for sure. So that's what surprises me, that this is a little bit more science fact than science fiction. Don't get me wrong, I keep saying that, the science fiction is all in here, but yeah. So full colour, because I'm guessing that Dan Dare was their main strip, so we get a full colour Dan Dare strip. Not gonna lie, he actually has his name on it, in case he forgot. It's not the greatest artwork, but then I shouldn't complain because I can't draw anywhere near to this standard, but it's probably very reflective of the time. Is that the dude from the cover then? Kinda, but yeah, it's just your standard annual short, you know, fair story. Yeah, full on science fiction. Probably a little bit too full on for Dan Dare, but maybe that's the reinvented Dan Dare. Don't know. Is he this own? Is Dan Dare's great grandson, or was that what they did in the Eagle when they brought him back? So this is what I absolutely love, though, because obviously in 1977 the shuttle was a thing, but it hadn't flown. So I mean, isn't it its first on-screen debut in Moonraker? Because, like I said, it was a real thing. You know, it physically existed, which you'll see later on in this book. So when they explain to you as a kid, and again, this is a science fact, how the shuttle worked, they have all these wonderful, wonderful painted, you know, images, strips, if you will. I absolutely love this. I was a massive Space Shuttle fan as a kid. I was a massive helicopter fan, but bigger Space Shuttle fan. Wrote to NASA as a kid. When you wrote to NASA as a kid back in the day, when I was a lad, which would have been 1984 when I wrote to them, they sent you back from Florida like a big A4 size padded envelope of just prints, not like shitty little scans or printouts, but glossy high colour prints of like the spacewalk and shit like that. It was absolutely fantastic. Galactic greetings, Earthling. Tharg, rubber mask, Splundig Verthrig, Tharg. Yeah, so just a little interesting things that are going on in the world of science fiction. I like that. I like that a lot. Does he show up again? A step into the unknown. So they're talking about. Are they talking about the first spacewalk? But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. See, if you have the very early issues of 2000 AD, obviously this is yellowed quite a lot. It's still in pretty good nick. You have the very early issues of 2000 AD. Did they have these sort of informative, you know, text strip, probably too strong a descriptive term for what they are, because this is just like, this is, well, genuine fact, isn't it? It's documenting historic events and stuff like that. So obviously we got the moon landing, Capcom, the space car, and then actual pictures of the shuttle. That's so cool, because yeah, they flew it around, didn't they, on the back of a, is it a 747? Out like a rocket and back like a plane, the sensational space shuttle. So, I mean, yeah, I get why that's in there, because that would have been, yeah, that would have been hella cool at the time. Like the excitement, obviously, I was, well, 18 months old. Yeah, apologies for that. I live next to an airport. And that's loud. Yeah, so it would have been generally a very, very exciting time, wouldn't it? But yeah, so now our strips are, we're into black and white. Tank Trap, never heard of this, never heard of anyone in it. That's my dog now, because why not? Everyone kick off. Yeah, this seems a bit more sort of traditional than what I would expect in a comic that's dedicated to science fiction. As in current day stuff. Wouldn't that be something that you would best leave for Battle? Remember Battle? Was that IPC? I'm pretty sure it was. Hunted, another strip that I've never heard of before. Again, is this just, it's not even a thing that showed up. Like I said, I don't know, very early 2000 AD. They didn't show up in the progs, and they just created for the annual. Is there a lot of filler in what I'm saying? Mach 1, I remember Mach 1, that's a brilliant early 2000 AD strip. Don't know why I keep saying that, because you know that because you're reading the book along with me. And he was basically a knockoff, like, you know, Bionic Man. It was our Bionic Man, if you will, because I mean, look, he's enhanced, if you will. See, this I like these kind of really old black and white ones. This is an interesting one. I mean, I know I read it on the itinerary or whatever, the table of contents. Dumbass, sorry, that's me. Harlem Heroes. I didn't realise, because they brought them back a few times, and in fact they brought them back in the 90s, and that's where I sort of started to appreciate them for the first time. I never realised they were a day one strip. So it's like Rollerball in 0G, if that makes sense, you know, and these guys are like the pinnacle team, you know, fight corruption and shit like that. And yeah, obviously nods to the Harlem Globetrotters, only these are a real team. And yeah, super violent, futuristic sport, because I guess it's based on the movie that I just mentioned that I've completely had a brain fart on. Rollerball. But yeah, see, now this I like. This kind of raw artwork. Again, no cards telling you who drew, scripted, you know, inked, or anything like that. Pleased to meet you. East meets West in space. So yeah, so this chronicles that time when Russia and America met in space. From blast off to landing. End of voyage. Again, I've never heard of this strip before. I didn't realise there's so many present day things in here. I say that, but that's a very sci-fi image, isn't it? Crossword. Watch this space for lad. Jokes, really? Jokes. Didn't see that one coming. Space records you can lick. So it's chronicling actual stamps related to, most of these are Russian, obviously, to space-based events. Interesting. Again, didn't realise so much of this book was going to be fact-based, the Dream Machine. Now we go into black and white and red, which it's essentially black and white. Never heard of Dream Machine, but it's obviously sci-fi though, that's cool. I kind of like this. I think it really makes it punch, and I do really like the artwork. And I'm sure this guy was a regular, because I definitely recognise the style. Which was the style at the time. Dredd, we get Dredd, because of course we get Dredd. And he's in the black and white and red, which reminds me of a joke when I was a kid. What's black and white and red all over? Oh yeah, sorry. Newspaper. I don't know who drew this, but I want to say, because he refined his artwork along the way, and I could be totally wrong on this, so by all means correct me, but is this Carlos Ezquerra? I mean, he's the co-creator, but look how everything's played down size-wise. So obviously later on, they really over-exaggerated the eagles and stuff like that, and the pads. But this is still absolutely banging. See what I did there? Artwork. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. Again, look at the Lawgiver. Mach 1. So Mach 1 gets a second strip, Operation Hercules, or is this continuation? I think it's a secondary strip. So obviously he's current day, but the fact that he's Bionic Man was what makes him science fiction. This, because like I said, I had a quick look through, a story about the buffalo hunt. I'm not taking anything away from the bravery of the people involved in said buffalo hunts, but in a 2000 AD annual. Here we go. The Monsters. A dire warning, Earthlets. Visitors from another world are not always what they seem. To some, they are. So is this like a very early version of Future Shocks, where you'd have a very short panelled, short strip, titled by Tharg, be different every issue, and it would just be like a kind of Outer Limits-esque style story, you know, like a dark in tone. But, yeah. Remember the movie Hardware? Yeah, 2008 sued them because they ripped that off from a Future Shock story. This is an interesting one as well. White Fury. Look, it's a story about polar bears in an annual based on a science fiction anthology comic. But it does have, bam! Polar bears fighting orcas. Get some of that in your life. Yeah, so I would not expect this, even as a kid. I love how they do gun noises in comics. Trum. But yeah, cool. Follow up Judge Dredd strip. Just black and white this time. Same artist as the previous strip. Again, don't know who it is. No title cards or anything like that. But I want to say it is Carlos Ezquerra. Don't know, but I just love the look of old school Mega City 1. It was originally going to be Future New York, wasn't it? And then by his next appearance, they changed it to Mega City 1 because Future New York wasn't big enough. So then we get another Future Shock story, The Symbiotes. Greetings, Earthlets. Earthlets. Here is another spine-chingling glimpse of what could happen in the future. So yeah, it's a Future Shocks. Look at this bad boy. Now this artwork I really, really like. But yeah, this is a very, very different annual. And again, it makes sense because we're in the first year. Death bug, a town in danger, innocent people at risk thanks to the death bug. My God, it sounds like fucking our government pushing all that COVID bollocks. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's in its first year at this point. But yeah, annuals became a very, very different beast. Later on, I can certainly assure you. And they definitely became a lot shorter. Definitely became a lot shorter than this. But yeah, and as you go, the back is just rinse and repeat. So this is the first ever 2000 AD annual. Would I recommend it? If you're a massive 2000 AD collector of the books, yeah, why not? It's the first one. But if you're a sort of mid 80s to late 90s enthusiast, advocate, if you will, 2000 AD, this is a very, very different beast indeed. And again, I don't know if a lot of that is simply because it's an annual and it's a Christmas present and therefore it might be aimed at a slightly younger market than the actual comic is. But a good chunk of this book is actual science fact. You know, which again, as I said, because the space shuttle's very exciting, so space travel at this point, because again, we're in the late 70s, yeah. You know, but yeah, I just would have expected it to be more science fiction all the way through, and not have so many current day strips. I know 2000 AD had current day strips. I mean, obviously we accept Mach 1 and stuff like that, but like modern ones with Zenith and stuff like that. But they were superheroes and stuff like that. Buffalo hunting? Not sure about that. Anyway, as always, I got a few more of these planned because I found a few more of my more interesting in older annuals, even some Eagle ones going back to the 50s. So yeah, as always, I'd love to know what you think, especially if you actually have this annual. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.